Hello, grade ones. Hello, squad. Nice to see you. I wanted to show you that today I'm wearing my Bullying Stops Here pink shirt because today is International Day of Pink. And it's a really important day. And I'm going to read the International Day of Pink pledge that I signed. You can see that I signed it right there, Miss Sweetman. And it says, I believe in a world where love outshines hate. I commit to standing up and speaking against hate, intolerance, and oppression. I will freely offer respect to all humankind. I will make an effort to nurture any marginalized group and truly believe that people who are different than me are indispensable in our society. This includes, but is not limited to, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, citizenship, race, color, religion, age, marital status, family status, and disability. I will work diligently to understand my role as an ally and an advocate. I will always draw love and erase hate. And I signed the pledge. I'm going to include the link below so that you too can print off the pledge and sign it as well. My grade ones are going to use this video as an activity for tomorrow for their Thinking Thursday, but I wanted to make the video available today for anybody who wanted to enjoy a story and see my pink shirt and be part of International Day of Pink with me. So thanks for being here. So our book today is called The Juice Box Bully, and it's empowering kids to stand up for others. And because today is the day that I just mentioned, for all the reasons that I just mentioned from the pledge, I thought this was an excellent book to share today, The Juice Box Bully. Here we go. As Pete stood in front of his new class, Mr. Peltzer announced, "Let's welcome Pete to our team. Pete, you will be sitting behind Ralph." When I first read this book, my favorite moment was when I saw that the teacher calls the class the team, because that's what I always call our class. I always call our grade 1 class a team. Pete, you will be sitting behind Ralph. Settling into his seat, Pete pulled his hat down over his head so that only his eyes could be seen. Turning around, Ralph warned him, "They don't allow hats in class here." "You're not my mother," snarled Pete. After giving an assignment, Mr. Peltzer walked around the class and quietly asked Pete to remove his hat. Once he walked away, Pete poked Ralph. "Thanks a lot," he growled. Later that day at recess, Pete didn't ask to join the soccer game. Instead, he watched. "Hi, Pete," Ralph said. "Do you want to get into the game?" "Not with those nerds," Pete replied. "I don't like those kids." "What do you want to do?" asked Ralph. Pete smiled spitefully. "Let's steal the ball. We're bigger than them. We can have our own game." "I don't think so," answered Ralph. "That's not how we do things around here." "Then I'll do it myself," taunted Pete, "if you're so afraid." Really interesting, Pete's reaction and the things he's sharing and saying. I'm wondering if any one of you have ever been new to a school, and if you can take a moment and remember what it felt like to be new, and if you can maybe wonder or understand maybe what's going on for Pete right now, because he certainly doesn't seem to be very happy or being very nice. Pete ran over to the field and yelled, "Pass it to me." When David passed the soccer ball, Pete grabbed it and ran off the field. "What's going on?" shouted David. Pete didn't answer. He ran faster and faster, then turned and waved the ball in the air. At first, the kids just stood there. Then they huddled together before walking over to Pete. Ruby and Lucy led the way. "I know you're new around here, but what are you doing?" asked Ruby. "I'm playing with a soccer ball," Peter snapped. "Think you're going to take it away from me?" Ruby didn't argue, nor did she threaten Pete. Instead, she softly but firmly explained. "It's your first day here, so there's no way you could know this. In Mr. Peltzer's class, we made a promise. We promised to take care of ourselves, each other, and our classroom, and to solve problems peacefully. We promised that in this class, no one would stand by and accept bad behavior. When someone acts hurtfully, we all speak up. We want you to be a member of the class and to make the same promise. Dumb rules, dumb promises. Throwing the ball to the ground, Pete walked away. The next day, Pete ate alone. When he finished lunch, the kids raced out of the lunchroom while Pete trailed behind. Ruby ran up to Pete and asked, "Do you want to play soccer today?" "I don't play with nerds." "Okie dokie," Ruby replied. "Hey, Ruby," Pete called after her. Ruby stopped and turned. "Nice shirt," Pete complimented. Then he squirted his juice box right at her. "You are so mean," she shrieked at him. "I'll tell everyone how mean you are. You won't have any friends here." By now, Ralph, David, and some others had come up to them. "Ruby, I won't let you do that," Ralph said clearly. "Remember our promise?" "I don't want to remember the promise. Look what he did. We'll ignore him forever until he leaves this school and goes back to his old school," Ruby demanded. Ralph walked between Ruby and Pete. "We're not going to do this, Ruby. I know you're angry. You can tell Mr. Peltzer if you want, but we're not going to let you treat Pete like this. And we won't put up with his bad behavior either." Ruby stomped away, leaving Pete and Ralph behind. "No one's ever done that before," Pete said. "Why did you stand up for me? I've been in your shoes, and I learned being a bully doesn't work." "And I'm not a bystander," Ralph said. "I don't stand by and let mean things happen. Besides, Ruby's my friend, and you shouldn't have ruined her shirt." "Won't the other kids be mad at you for sticking up for me?" Pete asked. "No way. They all made the same promise. We talked about it for a long time with Mr. Peltzer, and every kid here tries to keep that promise." "At my old school, I got picked on all the time," Pete said. "Everybody just let it happen. So I started to tease kids before they could be mean to me." Ralph replied, "We decided that when somebody tries to be a bully, no one will stand by and let it happen. We speak up or we ask for help from an adult, but we won't be bystanders to bad behavior." The bell rang, and it was time to go back to class. "They hate me. They'll never let me play with them," Pete said. Before Ralph could answer, David, Lucy, and Ruby came toward them. "I'm sorry about what I said," Ruby apologized. "I can't believe I forgot the reason why we made the promise. If we can remember to stand up for each other, school is a lot more fun." "Wow, the kids here are way different than at my other school," Pete said. "Maybe I'll give this promise thing a try." "Great, let's go talk to Mr. Peltzer," said Ruby. "Hey, Ruby, sorry about your shirt," Pete added. Ruby smiled. "No worries. I kind of like the new look." Everyone laughed as Pete and Ruby led the way into class. The end. So that, my friends, is the juice box bully. And there's two things that I want you to think about today and I want you to work on. And one of those things is I want you to see if you can write the promise that you think Mr. Peltzer's class had. It's in the back of the book, but I want to see what you come up with. So we definitely have some ideas of what that looks like, and you're going to come up with the promise in your own way. So in our grade 1 class before, we had a class agreement, and we wrote the different parts of our agreement and everyone in the class signed it. So I want you to try and think of the promise. What could be the promise that Mr. Peltzer's class made that they all agreed to? It might have 5 sentences, 5 different sentences of the things they promise. Maybe it's a poem. Maybe it's a song that is their promise. You can be as creative as you want to with this assignment, with this activity, and decide about how you can come up with what you think the promise is from the Juice Box Bully. So that's part 1. And the other part is a thinking question. And something really stood out to me in the book when I was reading it, and I wonder if it stood out to you too. It was right towards the end when Pete said, he said, wow, the kids are way different here than at my other school. And that part always makes me pause because I'm curious as to why Pete thinks that the kids are different. And if you think that that's true, if you think that the kids at Pete's other school are very different from the kids at this school, and if so, why? Or if not, why? So I want you to just let that idea kind of tickle in your mind and really think about it. About um, are the kids at Pete's old school different than the kids at this school, or could there be something else going on? So that is your thinking challenge, and your other challenge is to come up with a promise. All right. I look forward to seeing what you create, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Okay. Remember, bullying stops here. Pink shirt. There are a lot of caring adults in your life who you can always go to, and I hope that you know who those people are, and I hope that you definitely know that no matter what class you're in or where you are, that I am someone that you can always come to if you need an adult support, if there's anything going on that you feel isn't making you feel good or is worrying you. You can always come and talk to Miss Sweetman. And right now, that's going to look like sending me an email or sending me a message. And that is something that you can always do. And I will always write you back. And if you need me, you know where to find me. All right. Have a great day. Miss Sweetman loves you very much. It's Wednesday, the International Day of Pink, and grade ones. This is going to be your Thinking Thursday for tomorrow. All right. I love you. Bye, everybody.